quickly, what is the most comfortable thing you can think of right now? For me, it's my pillow. I love my pillow. It's like this foam kind of thing. I don't think it's memory foam. It's this different kind of foam that's kind of squishy and just hugs my head. It's fantastic. And I love laying my head on it every night, and it just slumbers me right off to sleep. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Many of us love our pillows because it brings us that comfort and that rest that we need after a really long day. But here is a humbling thought that I've been thinking about lately, and that I want us to consider tonight. The fact is, none of us are guaranteed to rest our heads on our pillows tonight. So I want to give you a bit of context on what we're going to be going over tonight, and a little bit of the scripture that we're going, because I'm taking you all the way back to the Old Testament, to the Psalms, and it's a psalm that is written by Moses, and I want to let you know what's going on so that you can better understand it, because when you get the context, you'll understand why he's saying what he's saying, why he's praying what he's praying, really. And so before I tell you the verse that I want to get to that says, teach us to number our days, I want to tell you exactly what's going on, because it's important. Pastor Paul is always talking about both grace and accountability, or punishment, going hand in hand. Grace and accountability in the same hand. Love of God and the punishment of God, handing both in both. And really it brings up the question, is sometimes punishment the best form of grace you can give a person? The answer is quite yes. But it's important for us to understand these concepts, because he tells the people, the Jews, I promise you this land. I'm going to give it to you. And right when they're on the precipice, right when they're about to enter it, they send out 12 spies, and God has already told them, I'm giving you this land. And those 12 spies go in, they look at the land, look around, see the different things, and come back and they give their report, and 10 of them go, yeah, no, this isn't not gonna happen. I don't see it happening. This is crazy. And mind you, God had already promised the land, so they don't believe in the promises of God. They don't believe that God can actually deliver them this land. And so God looks at them and in a loving manner says, I'm going to delay your entry. You won't enter this land. And he delays it for 40 years. And the only 2 spies that enter the land are the 2 spies that came back and said, all right, let's go. Let's do this. So God punishes the people and delays their entry into the promised land because they lacked the faith and belief. It's almost like him saying, you are not ready. I can't send you in there right now. You have this defeated attitude. It won't be good for you. And so where we find Moses when he writes this psalm, Psalm 90, is right in the middle of this. Right in this wilderness experiences. Right after he sort of got punished by God himself. God said, let the water come out of the rain, and he taps the rock. You know that story? Why'd you add to it? And so here we find him in this story, in Psalm 90. And so Psalm 90 says this. It's a prayer of Moses, the man of God, and it says this, Psalm 90, starting in verse 1, Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You are God forever, from the beginning to the end. You're always been, and you always will be. You turn your people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it's dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set your iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with a moan. Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is your due. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So you see, there's a lot to unpack there, isn't there? Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, if I just read that Psalm 90, 1 through 12, and you were thinking about it, you're like, what's all this wrath and anger and craziness going on here? Why is it that God of the Old Testament seems to be a God of wrath, but the God of the New Testament is like Mr. Rogers, and he's like, I love you, I love you. No, God still loved him in the Old Testament. He loved him immensely. It's just there has to be accountability. And everyone loves accountability. I mean, when we see that guy flying on the freeway 90, 100 miles an hour, we're like, I wish they'd get pulled over because they need to be held accountable. But the moment we get pulled over for going 5 miles over the speed limit, we're like, this isn't fair. Everyone loves accountability until they get it. And here they are in the midst of all that. Moses is looking around, and he definitely sees people as 40 years, and the older ones are passing away. And he's like, God, you promised us this land, and how long will you hold out? I see people wither and die, and our days are numbered. That's true. Our days are numbered. 100% numbered. Teach us to number our days. See, that's something we have to learn. That's something that's taught. As a youth, we think we're going to live forever. I mean, we know stats. We know statistical analysis. Some of us, if I told you how many three-pointers Stephen Curry got at the All-Star game, you'd be like, yeah, he got 16, and he scored 50 points, and he had like this many rebounds. You can tell me stats. You can tell me what your PSI and your tires is supposed to be at, right? These are different stats and numbers. But the moment I say, okay, so your numbers, you're going to live less than 100 years. You're like, well, I think I'm going to live forever. And we live that way. We live as, we're going to live forever. And the truth is, teach us that our days are numbered so that we make the best of our days. So we can put our best foot forward. So we can live our best life. See, that's the truth. None of us are guaranteed to lay our heads on our pillows tonight. We could be walking down the street and then all of a sudden, whack, get hit by a car. I heard a story once, right? It's a true story actually, of a couple who was sitting on their anniversary of their wedding. And they're by the fireplace and they're having a nice little drink because that's what they did on their anniversary. In one moment they're in this blissful setting. And the next minute a vessel pops in his head and he dies. It's a humbling thought. You're not going to live forever on this earth. You're not meant to. The sins of Adam have caused that to be true. But by the grace of God, you could live forever in eternity. You could spend eternity with God, doing the things of God, worshiping God every day. Oh. So here we find Moses being honest with God in the midst of his trials, in the midst of this punishment that he's in. And we find this little nugget of truth. yours and mine, our days are numbered. And because our days are numbered, we want our works to count. We want every action, every moment that we do, we want it to count. Understanding that your days are numbered gives you this wisdom. I want everything to count. Matter of fact, he ends this psalm saying that, may the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Make this count. Oh, that's a huge thing for us. Knowing your days are numbered, make your life count. That's his prayer. My days are numbered. I'm not going to enter this promised land, but make this count. That should be our prayer too. Lord, make this day count. Help me to see you in this day. Help me to see that I'm not toiling in vain. Teach me that my days are numbered, that I may gain a heart of wisdom.